now going to do dishes. And for dishes, we use Spring Dew. Now, when I first got into Conklin, I was an avid Dawn user, and I wasn't so crazy about maybe switching dishwashing liquids. So I like, when I do dishes, I like the water to be hot and there be lots of suds in the water, because I always believe that that is what really got the food and the grime off of my dishes. So I was a little hesitant in changing, but after I used Spring Dew for a little bit, I then found out that it really was worth the change. So I want to give you another opportunity of a way to use Spring Dew, because Spring Dew is so much more than just dishwashing liquid. It cleans your bathtubs. It helps the rings not to stay on the bathtubs. It's a jewelry cleaner. You can wash your fine linens with Spring Dew as well. So because you can do so much with Spring Dew, I want to show you what you can get rid of. You can get rid of Woolite because you can use Spring Dew instead. You can get rid of Dawn because you can use Spring Dew instead. You can get rid of bar soap because you can use Spring Dew instead. So many things can be done with Spring Dew. I want to give you a demonstration that we do for Spring Dew. This is another opportunity that we found in the Conklin business to do. You know, again, I was partnering up with Mike in the business and wanted to be a part of a lot of things that he did. And he did trade shows as a contractor to help himself sell roofs and or bring on contractors to our team. So how could I be a part of his booth and yet do my own Conklin business? So I took a corner part of his booth and I set out a sign that said free ring cleaning. And as women came through with their husbands to talk with Mike about the roofing systems, then I would offer free ring cleaning. So I would take their ring in my hand, dip my toothbrush in the water, put just a little squirt of Spring Dew on the ring, and then I would clean their ring. Now, while I was cleaning their ring, I was also making conversation with them. Where did they live? Do they have children? Do they have grandchildren? What sports are they involved in? Do they like to travel? I was really just making personal conversation with them while I cleaned their ring. And then, after their ring was clean, we discussed how shiny it was, and that Spring Dew would not only do dishes, but it would do a whole lot more, such as jewelry cleaning and linen, washing their fine linens and things. Look at the shine on this ring. Now, as long as I had their diamond ring in my fingers, it was giving Mike a longer time to visit with their husband about selling them a roof system or for them to come onto our team as a contractor. Because how far away do you think they were going to go from our booth as long as I had their diamond ring in my fingers? Now I want to demonstrate to you about getting the grease off your dishes. So I'm going to put Crisco on my fingers, on my hands here. And then I'm going to wash them actually in cold water with Spring Dew. So I'm going to get them wet. And then I'm going to put some Spring Dew on my hands. Spring Dew goes a long ways. You don't need more than just one little pump on your hands. I'm going to wash my hands here and rinse them off with the Spring Dew in the water. And you can see that the water is cloudy, but you can see that there's very few suds on top of the water. I want to hold that up so that you can see there's very few suds on top of the water. So you can imagine that the first few times that I did dishes with Spring Dew, I was pretty disappointed that there were not more suds on top of my hot water, because I thought that's what made dishes clean. So it's important to learn about your products, how they work and what they can really do. So when I learned about Spring Dew, this is the deal. If the suds are on top of your water, then that means that your detergent is not down in the water getting the food and the grime and the yuck off of your dishes or off of your hands or whatever it is that you're washing. If there are very few suds on top of your water, then that means that Spring Dew is down inside the water, and it is working on your dishes or your hands or your clothes or whatever that you have down in the spring dew. Now again, I want to talk to you about finding some opportunities to do with the products. So I was in Florida with Mike while he was doing a roof, and I was hanging out with Madeline, our granddaughter, that day, and I told her that we could do anything she wanted to do. Well, Madeline loves animals. So when I asked her what she wanted to do, she wanted to wash her dog. Now, she has a dog that is actually a miniature horse. And, you know, I like animals, but I don't love them as much as Maddie does. So this was going to be a challenge for me, but I said, okay, Maddie, we will wash your dog today. So we're outside, and we're washing her dog with spring dew. Number one, they use spring dew in their household, and she didn't have any dog wash or anything. Now, her dog is a little sensitive to some soaps, so we thought we would try spring dew. It would be a good chance to give it a try. So we are washing her dog with spring dew, and the dog is loving it, and it has very long hair, and the hair was coming out very fluffy and soft. And so as we're washing her dog, here comes the neighborhood kids to see what it was we were doing. So after the neighborhood kids saw that we were washing the dog and how beautiful the dog looked, guess what? They went home, and what did they bring back? Their dogs, their cats. So instead of having a car wash, we had a dog and cat wash. But I'm always looking again for opportunities, not only with the Conklin business, but how to sow good seeds into other people in their lives, and especially with children. So we were talking about opportunities in life and how it's good to give to others and how we might be able to volunteer and do things with animals. So they came up with the idea of going to the pet shelter with spring dew and volunteering to wash the pets there at the pet shelter. So we loaded up in the van, we went to the pet shelter with our spring dew, and the manager said, yes, we could volunteer to wash the pets, and she did not have a problem with us using spring dew. So we started volunteering and washing all those pets, which this was a challenge for me, but it was a great opportunity for the kids. So they've done it now for several years, and the greatest opportunity has come out of that for Madeline and her friends, because now the pet shelter, when someone comes to adopt a pet, they tell them about spring dew. We have a shelf there at the pet shelter where they can purchase spring dew to wash their pets with. And of course, we have then been able to introduce Fast Track as well at that pet shelter. So when they purchase that, then I take the commission that Mike and I make off of those sales, and I put that in a college fund for Madeline. Or if it goes specifically to one of her friends, then I make sure that her friend gets that particular amount of money for the effort that they have put into washing those pets voluntarily.